Hello, I'm Superdill. Welcome to my Minecraft server. Today we're going to try and make a cactus farm. Uh, Not just a cactus farm though. We're actually going to make a cactus flower farm. So first, come over here where we have a community cactus farm. You can see one just popped off right there. The problem with this farm right here is the way cactus flowers work, they won't grow. There's no way for any cactus flowers to grow on any of these cactus. And that's because the cactus flower needs it to be clear of blocks on top. So we want to be able to have these iron bars here for the flowers to grow. The reasons for this are actually pretty interesting. Cactus flowers are trying to fit into a spot that already exists, right? Cactus farms already exist and they work great. But the developers also want the cactus flowers to be able to be placed next to existing blocks. So they work just the same as cactuses. You couldn't be able to place them in a corner like this. You would always have to have them separated from any type of wall, which would be very frustrating for players. So our cactus farm is going to have to break this flower with a piston. And it's going to have to leave the blocks immediately adjacent to the flower completely free. Except for above. We can still leave a block above. Now I want to talk a little bit about the mechanics of how the cactus is going to grow. When does it choose to make a flower? The answer to that is random ticks. It's going to have a system called random ticks where it picks a bunch of random blocks 20 times a second. And for each one of those, if it's something that can grow, it tries to make it grow. So, for example, for a cactus, it's going to eventually make it have a new cactus on top or a cactus flower on top. A lot of the times when it tries to grow, it doesn't actually change anything physically. A cactus will actually start with a number attached to it, so in this case it's a 0, and then when it's time for it to grow, it will actually just change that number up 1. And then once it gets to a high enough number, so in this case it's 15, and it gets random ticks again, it's going to then actually do the growth. It'll put a new cactus block up here and switch both the cactus down to 0. We get a cactus flower when the cactus is transitioning from 8 to 9. It has a chance at that same time to also put a flower on top. Now the chance of that is actually pretty low. It's like a 10% chance. So 90% of the time it will just create a second cactus on top. But in that 10% of the time, we get our cactus flower. So if it fails to do a cactus flower, no cactus flower, it's just 9. It's just going to finish going all the way through, and then it will get to 15, put the new cactus on top, that'll get broken off, and this gets reset back down to 0, so we can try again for new cactus flower. This all means that we end up with 10 cactus for every cactus flower. The one other note I'll make is that there is a way we can increase our odds of getting a cactus flower, and that's with a 3 tall cactus. 3 tall cactus, when this transitions from 8 to 9, it actually has a 25% chance of putting a flower on top. We're not going with this design, and that's because I don't have a way to detect when this reaches 15, and it's just not going to grow past there. Right? No flower will ever appear here. It's just kind of stuck. I would just have to create some type of timer, and it just gets complicated. So now we're going to go and figure out how to design our farm with all that knowledge in mind. Okay, this gives us a starting space to work with, and we can adjust as needed. I think it can grow if there's something above it. We might need to check that. So we can say, hey, every time this gets a signal, let's then update the redstone line. So when it grows, it should do that. Oops, a little longer. Okay, so now, oh, there is a problem. Okay, so we need a double piston extender then. Because the first one is for cactus. And then the second one would be for flowers. Okay, I think this is doable. I don't know how to make a double piston extender, but I can figure it out. Yeah, so we need that to pull, that to pull, that to pull. And when we push, we need the opposite, that. Do, and do. So we've got some tutorials here. So this one does 4, 2, oops, 4, 2, and then none. And then it's hooked up to a lever, which I should have levers on hand. Okay, so the way this one works is this gets powered first, which pushes this piston. So basically these are both being powered. And then this gets powered, and then this one's powered last. And then when it's retracting, this gets turned off. And since there's no solid block back here, that just retracts the piston. And then this one also then gets turned off to pull back this block. This one is still on at that point, and so it finishes by pulling the block, which is why it needs 4. If it's 3, it's not on long enough to actually finish it. Interesting. Okay. I'm curious if we gave this one a pulse. Yeah. Pulses just don't mix with these circuits. So that's not a problem. The next question is, how long do we need to give the pulse to transform it? Wrong way. Like that. Okay. Oh yeah, might want some bits in there. Okay. So it might have to be a full 4 ticks. I am planning on this being a really small farm, right? Like we don't need anything too fancy. So let's take this, right, to put it into this wall some more. Yes, there's more cave behind here. This wall was always a facade. Pick that up and clean it up like we never touched it. Sweet. Good as new. Okay, come back here. Push. I think this thing needs to go there. So we want to push this block, bump, bump. So items should hopefully fall right here. We just kind of collect them, I guess. We go for a whole classic water system all the way around. Alright, so when that gets powered, we need our redstone line can go up into the ceiling. Use a smooth stone here for that. And that will then come over here to the side. So we need you. I think it was 2, 4. I'm curious now. I'm totally all for just like hiding some of this into the ceiling. Usually they show it the most compact, which is really helpful. I do like seeing it all nice and compact. But I am definitely not opposed to rerouting some of the redstone. As long as both of these lines get lit up at the same time, this enables us to put whatever we want right here. So we just have those 2 blocks are blocked off. Oh, I really hope that doesn't... Wait. Is that going to work? That's a great question. Let's use yeah, no, that doesn't work. Some weird quasi-conductivity stuff with that. Okay, we'll just go back to having it be in an annoying spot. Okay. So now it's kind of tucked away here. This would be the perfect spot to put our repeater. And now, yeah, that's kind of my fear. So it takes long enough that it activates twice. So we're actually going to put, do a little bit of an extender here. Oops. We could just do whatever block we want there and then put that there. Okay, so now, nope. Well, that was pretty bad. New plan. We just make it activate every other. So we just use one more sticky piston, which I don't have a bunch of on hand. Yeah, so when this gets activated, oops, we just have it do that and that. And so now, it should do its normal thing. Okay, so this left me really confused, and I'm about to try and fix it with some weird redstone shenanigans. But watching over the video again, I see exactly what I did wrong. The observer, it should be flipped 90 degrees. That's because the observer is pulsing twice, once for when it gets pushed, and a second time for once it detects the piston about to pull it. So if you just flip it 90 degrees, then you don't have to do any of the shenanigans I'm about to do. This is the first time I've actually ever used this. It's like impressive. Okay, next question. Was that even necessary? Kind of. That works. Don't know why, but it does. Okay, so hopefully, now whenever there's a flower or cactus, you should detect it and push it off. It's a cactus. Yeah. And hopefully you'll avoid landing on the cactus. Let's pull out some blocks here. We've been doing this oak paneling, so that might make sense. We've kind of like tried different styles in different parts of this, right? So we've got spruce here and down here. We got the mangrove. We went for wart for all the storage. Let's see about using some of the pale oak. Question is there something else I should be pairing this with? Look through the stones a bit. We've been picking up diorite. I don't know. That really mixes quite right with the diorite. It's kind of pinkish, if that makes sense. Um, Obviously calcite. Calcite is a beautiful block at all times. Here's an odd one. Purple's kind of pinkish. It's that cross-sectional nature of it that kind of makes it hard to use. Here's the pillar block. Not as bad. You got a. It's just hard to use. I think I need like a fairly flat block to go with this. It doesn't really describe purpur. I've never really thought of purpur as being a flat block. Bone blocks. It's more of a yellowish. Honestly, that looks really good. Let's try some combination of those. But not the diorite. I'm going to leave the diorite here. Okay. So water's going to be really easy. Single bucket of water from the back. Things should land on the sides and such, but they're not likely to land here. So I should push them right here to the front where we can have a hopper. They can just go straight into some type of chest. I kind of like that. It's like a nice smooth look to it. We're going to have to try to use some trapdoors. So let's see what the trapdoors look like. Oh, those will look great. Yeah. Then I talked about pairing it with the bone blocks. Definitely don't need that to be round. But what if we did that as pillars of some kind? We could do it here as well inside of it. I think for the ceiling, take advantage of how dark this is. So we could have that on the ceiling, and then where the water is, and then this back would probably also be like that, and this middle piece should probably be just like that. Something like that. For right here, I think we're just actually going to leave it open. I think it will look nicer like that. That looks good. Put our cactus back. And now every time. Or it just gets swallowed up immediately. Alright, I'm calling it there. I think this is nice and good. You know, little farm here. I'll kind of peek at the redstone again in a second here. But I think it's nice and simple. We'll get a flower. We'll have a chance of a flower after every cactus grows. Right, the next time there might be a flower. So it's going to grow a bunch of cactus we don't care about. But honestly, the hope is that it will just give us enough flowers to, you know, satisfy the server's needs. Take one last peek at our redstone. This is definitely one of those kind of scuffed projects where, like, we followed a tutorial for some of it, right? I needed a double piston extender, didn't know how to do it. And then we had to do some weird connector. So in this case, we had to convert our pulse into a long, into something much longer than just the pulse, because the double piston extender doesn't work with short one-tick pulses. And then we had to adjust it further because it turns out that we don't know what we're doing. We need to prevent the double pulse from going off, which definitely didn't work with our T flip-flop like I expected it to. So lots of odd things, but after some fiddling with after looking some stuff up and then kind of fiddling with the timings, we've gotten it to work, and I think it looks really nice actually. So I'm pretty happy with this project. I'll give you some progress update on that in a future video, and we'll see how well it's done.